Welcome back to another episode of the Offer Mojo Show, where we talk all about crafting, scaling, marketing, and selling aligned and profitable offers. We have a perfect episode for January. I just want to tell you a little bit about that. In this episode, our guest is going to share her 2026-27 AstroStrategic Marketing Forecast and explain why the first half of 2026 requires recalibration, while the second half, especially after August, brings a meaningful shift in marketing momentum. We're gonna learn how to plan our offers, our messaging, and our visibility so that you're ahead of the change instead of reacting to it. I am super excited about this episode. For those of you, I think, listening, I think most of you know that there's a lot of kind of, I guess, energetic flavor. I love astrology. I know not everybody is into astrology, and I'm going to ask our guest about that in a minute. But let me introduce to you Sheri Moise. She is an intuitive business astrologer and strategic advisor with 25 plus years of experience in sales, marketing, and launch strategy. She helps entrepreneurs and business leaders plan, launch, and make decisions using timing and market cycle data rather than trends or urgency-driven tactics. My kind of person. Her work focuses on marketing cycles, buyer readiness, and forward-looking strategy, helping clients to anticipate what's coming next instead of relying on past data. Sheri is known for translating astrological insight into practical, strategic guidance that supports sustainable growth, clearer decisions, and stronger audience connection. So welcome, Sheri, to the show. I'm very excited to have you. I'm just very curious, like how you actually owned this lane of being an intuitive business astrologer. I love the way you're like blending like marketing and business like insight with astrology. But I want to hear kind of how you landed here in this lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Lori. I know that this is, can sometimes feel like outside of the box for some people, but and I myself came from 2+ decades in corporate sales and marketing.
Okay.
And so I have no shortage of, expertise and data around selling products and services and all that it takes to bring something to market. And when I left corporate, and moved into entrepreneurship, one of the things that I really noticed was the lack of data in the sense of, where everybody had a different idea of where the market was going, what was going to happen next. And what I really saw oftentimes was that there was almost this delay, right? Like we get behind, so to speak, the market cycle changes and we don't catch up fast enough to stay ahead of it. And you'll see in your inbox, nothing's, what worked in 25 doesn't work anymore, or whatever the languaging is. And so I recognize from being in corporate, I mean, we're recording this in January, right? Right after New Year, New You. And which is, I get PTSD from that whole experience. But, we had to plan purchases and promotion like years, almost a year in advance.
Right.
And if timing was off, it was a huge financial risk and burden because we had to order product in the right colors at the right time, show up and guess what people were. And there was always something missing. We paid tens of thousands of dollars for data, for market reporting, but it's scan data. It's what just occurred. And so I was always curious, like there's got to be a better way. And I spent the first few years in entrepreneurship chasing a better way. Invested a lot of time, money, and energy, as most people do. And I had always been astro curious.
Okay.
And always just curious, and had been, when I was looking at what I was going to do as an entrepreneur, I had, met with a friend of mine who's a longtime astrologer.
Okay.
And so I was using that as kind of a guidance. What does my chart have to say? What am I doing? And that was kind of just running in the background until I came across my now teacher and mentor, who's one of the few business astrologer, specifically working with business and astrology. And that's when things really started to click. I could see the cycles and the patterns. And she is someone who does like crazy amounts of research. And so when I started to see these parts and pieces, I thought, this is the missing link to working smarter, not harder. I didn't get into entrepreneurship to, if I wanted to work 40 hours a week and burn out, like, I just stay in corporate and do that, right?
Exactly.
So
and get a steady paycheck at the same time.
Exactly. So I was really just intrigued, and I started to dive in just for myself personally and leverage the tools that she was teaching. And then I would get curious working with clients. At that point, I was doing business strategy coaching, and people would be feeling out of sync or something wasn't working. So out of curiosity, I'd look at their chart. And I started to notice patterns and then things that would explain why they were in the season they were in astrologically. And so when she offered a certification, I thought, I'm already doing this thing. I'm already leveraging it. My clients are leaning into it, and I want to learn more.
Okay.
And so over the last 3 years, I'm now working on my master's. So I've spent a lot of time studying and learning, and I chose to go with the marketing and planning lane because I think this is what gets entrepreneurs so caught up in their shorts, right?
Sure.
This is what takes so much time and energy.
Right.
And if we can leverage the data that astrology has to offer, we can be ahead of the curve. We can know when to work, from a personal side, we can know when to work, when to rest, when to revise, and then meeting our audience where they're at. What if you knew this is coming? We all don't always know what it's going to look like. Every season has a different flavor, but there are repeating cycles over and over again. And so, we can have the same offer, different timing, and completely different results. I mean, I'm sure, Lori, you've launched something that you launched over and over and did great. And then all of a sudden it falls flat and there's no reason why.
Right.
So that's really where I started leaning in and then dialing in my own expertise.
I love it. So, what I want to address first before we dive into this is just a little bit. I want to talk a little bit to these skeptics out there that don't believe in astrology, don't believe in, any of that stuff. Like, I'm like into all of it. Like, I'm human design, gene keys, like all of it. And it explains. I can honestly say that learning about my human design, like, literally helped me like lean into my brilliance and just know like what made me unique. So I'm a firm believer, but I know that there are people out there who are skeptics. What would you say to the skeptics that are, we're not talking to the skeptics that are like, no, I'm not gonna, that's against, what I believe. I'm not going to even buy into that. I'm talking about what you said, Astro curious. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that, this is one of the Industrial Revolution and the current way we work in this world is not even 400 years old. And before that, all of our ancestors, I don't care what culture, what, geographic area you were in, leveraged seasons, cycles, planetary movements to manage their life, their resources, their land, all of those things. And so if it was, and all calendars prior to the Gregorian calendar were based on some sort of harvest, solar cycle, lunar cycle system. So why for thousands and thousands of years did our ancestors rely on that?
Right.
Really, the Gregorian calendar was just a choice someone made. January 1st has zero meaning, quote unquote. And in fact, we have to have a leap year to make it work. So there is something that is happening and we're all affected by it.
Sure.
The moon, the sun, the stars, and our ancestors knew that. And so whether we each have our own unique blueprint. You were talking about, human design. Human design and astrology are very, have similarities and are based on somewhat similar systems, even human design. Astrology is older than human design even. And so I can literally point to repeating cycles and patterns. Real estate markets are 18 months. Well, guess what? Marketing cycles are 18-month cycles. Financial markets run on these same cycles. We can see time and time again where these cycles are playing into consumer behavior, personal behavior, etc. And so I just say, why wouldn't you leverage data? Right now you're flying blind, right? You're guessing or taking someone's belief, which is based on what happened yesterday. Whereas I'm giving you a lens and a why as to, we know how these planets behave. We know what happens when they're in conversation. We know when these cycles occur. And so we have data that is more, in my opinion, reliable to leverage than just what happened yesterday or a month ago.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about why can astrology be used as a forecasting tool for marketing cycles and consumer behavior? Because I think, astrology is, to me, is kind of this kind of spiritual, energetic, like you said, the planets, the sun, the moon, all this stuff. I hear everything about the year of the snake and the year of the horse and all of that kind of stuff. And then there's very concrete, the strategic, marketing and consumer behavior. How do we blend those two?
Well, astrology is math, right? We're tracking planetary cycles based on orbits. So we're not, that is just the truth. That is how it's defined. We're not guessing or saying, oh, this planet is doing XYZ or in conversation, just guessing. Every planet has a particular orbit. It has cycles that repeat over and over and over again. So that's what gives us mathematical data. And so if you are doing your marketing and this is a data set that is incredibly valuable for individually as well as from a marketing side. So you talked about human design, for example. I have something that I've taken from a very old astrological tool and built. Each of us has, in my opinion, what I call a success planet or a success planet operating system. So similar to, but it tells us how we're motivated, how we goal set, and what our own personal cycles are. So each of us is wired a certain way, and that astrological chart is like that blueprint. And then collectively, we're all experiencing the movement of those planets and what's happening. And we know what each planet represents. Of course, it's all tied to things that our ancestors learned many, many years ago about what they noticed and saw. And because the cycles repeat, we can look at the timing and say, oh, this is familiar because it happened. Like this next marketing cycle that's coming is a reverberation of 2007, 2008. These cycles happen. So we can go back and look at that time period. So, and we don't know exactly, like I said, how it will play out, but we have a good idea of what the themes will be, what the patterns might be, and where we are in the economic cycle. And so because it's cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you know, your child's behavior, your family's behavior, right? Because it's pattern.
Yes.
And so really what we're dealing with here is patterns and cycles that we can analyze, review. I've got a book here on that this woman wrote, astrologer wrote in the 1920s, 30s on the stock market, and people leveraged those. She could track. It was probably the 30s. So she could track the various changes in the market, and now that has been, you know, tested again and again, and people leverage that as well. It's just another piece of data.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that I know that you want to talk about, and I'm super curious about this, is like, why is 2026 a dual personality year rather than a fresh start year? And I just, you know, I read that question and I thought, oh no, are we going to like be repeating like more of 2025? Like, I just want a fresh start.
I know.
I'm willing to hear whatever this dual personality year like is going to bring for us, because I'd rather hear the truth and like be like ready for that than to go in thinking, oh, it's the year of the horse. It's going to be a brand new year. Everything's going to be amazing.
Yes. So, you know, we have 2025, there were a lot of major changes, a lot of shifts, and obviously technology, AI, things speeding up. So, but astrologically, when we look at it, we are, yes, you could consider, you know, numerologically, sure, it's a 1 year, but that doesn't mean I think of it this way. As a newborn doesn't run before they learn to crawl, before they learn to walk. A fresh start, we're still taking all the data that we have, the information we have, and we're trying to figure out, what does this new version look like? So the first half is really about recalibrating, refining, reviewing, where we still have to lean into what did work, what didn't work. And I think telling people, and I know people, I mean, we can already see it playing out in the news. We are not in a fresh start yet. Like, we are repeating patterns and behaviors still, because astrologically, it's an 18-month marketing cycle. If we just look at it from a marketing point of view, we won't hit that new cycle until we'll start feeling it in late June, July, but it really hits in August. So we still have work to do. There are big shifts that are occurring in early 2026, but they're slow shifts. They are things that aren't going to be oh, boom, this is what, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are, you know, buyers are getting more intentional. People are needing to build trust in a different way. So we've learned a lot. We need to take those pieces and leverage that before we get to the big marketing shift at the back half. So the dual personality is, in my mind, just that, because we're going to get a new marketing cycle that kicks in, and we need to prepare for it. Okay. Because what the buyer needs and wants today is not going to be the same. They will have learned and grown, which is, we can talk about this. I have a huge, have lots to say about trust recession. Okay. Okay. So from a high level, that's why I'm not saying we're just getting this fresh start and everything's starting clean and we have to, that it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't work that way. We are starting a new cycle in various ways, but astrologically, it doesn't happen on January 1st. That's just a made up date. Okay. So let's talk about what business owners can be doing like now in this early part of the year to recalibrate and be ready for the new marketing cycle that starts in August. Like, what do we need to be doing in terms of like visibility, in terms of our offers, in terms of launching, like all of that stuff? Like, what does that recalibration look like? So I think the real key here is approaching the buyer what I believe has come out of 2025 and that this marketing cycle that we shifted into in January of 25 is that we have a buyer who prior to that was like, just give me the quick fix, right? So it was boom, 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 just do the thing. Prior to that, like we can look back, and here I'll give you a little background on this the behavior buyer shifts, and because most of you and your audience will recognize a lot of this. So if we go back to 2021, that was like the online education gold rush. You could sell a course, didn't matter what it was, right?
Exactly.
But then we got to 22, 23, and the buyer behavior shifted. I don't want to just learn it all on my own. I call that the fancy lazy and give it to me more easy era. I'll do the work, but I don't want to have to do it all alone. 24, 25 was really more driven by, personal development, but people wanted a quick fix in that era. And now this last year, people are starting to learn to trust themselves. And I think you might have heard people talk about this connection of the two brains, right? Your own. And so what we've moved into is a very discerning buyer who's going to listen to their own inner wisdom first.
Right.
Which is why I have a problem with trust recession, because I think it's disrespectful. I think what we've moved into is a wisdom evolution, right? People need a wiser buyer. So how do you approach a wiser buyer? You all have, your audiences, we're learning, you're starting to see, because we've been at this for 10 months now, not almost 12 months in this particular cycle. And so what have you learned? What is it that more discerning buyer needs from you, wants from you? And, what we're moving towards is what I'm calling moving away from a guru culture where to more, I want a guide by my side. I want someone to walk with me. So how you show up and how you frame what your role is, people aren't just going to buy a course and be happy that you aren't a part of it, that the person that they bought from isn't there, so to speak. But so if people are choosing based on, their own inner wisdom, they're looking longer term versus quick fix. We're out of the quick fix era, but they know quickly what it taught. Each era teaches us something, right? We learned in that quick fix era how to quickly spot what, that clear call to action. What do I need? And then now they take a breath and go, okay, do I really need this, or is this a shiny object?
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's definitely true for me. Like I definitely last year had a few, like what I would call like impulse buy type things. What I learned was I bought those things in a moment of lack of self-trust. Like, and so I either never got into what I bought because I'm like, wait a minute, like I know the answer to this, or I would listen to something that I bought and thought, I already know this. Like, why did I buy this? So now you're right. I am very discerning. It's like, I am like clearly, like if I'm going to buy something, I have to know with like absolute certainty. I don't know anything about this. I truly need to be guided on this. I truly want support around this. And it's probably not going to be a course because I know I'm not going to finish it. I want someone by my side to walk me through, like, how do I build a YouTube like audience, for instance, right? Like it's baffling to me, like how to grow a YouTube audience. But I would rather be able to like ask questions like to someone like, okay, well, like, what do I do? Like, and rather than just spend hours looking at a course that I don't have time for to begin with. If I'm meeting with someone, I'm going to make the time, right? But I'm not going to make the time for a course.
So see, yeah, so how do we make sure our offers meet that need, right? How do we give people enough room to trust their own inner wisdom and still help them to make the right decision for themselves?
Right.
And I do believe what you shared, what you mentioned, that we're looking at the death of traditional courses and the rise of experiential delivery. Like I want an experience. I want to understand. So when we look at those traditional content heavy courses, we already see them slowing down. People still want to know, okay, within, like, if you were going to buy something to help you with your YouTube growth, you want to know in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, this is where I'm going to be.
Right.
Not tomorrow. Like, you get now that, like, nothing happens overnight. We have a wiser buyer. There is no quick fix. That's why the guru culture falls apart, because people are like, no, sorry, $10,000 months don't just happen.
Exactly.
No, right? Like, those people are falling from their pedestals, and back half of 26 will really see that.
Oh, interesting. So there's, because I was to say, there's still a lot of people out there pushing that. There's still a lot of people pushing, like, make $1 million with, courses. And I'm like, no, that does not work.
Right.
Or I'm saying, like, how? Like, I know enough to know that it doesn't work that way. Right.
So when you look at your offers now, how do you build for the future? We are in what I'm going to call a slower growth. And people aren't going to like that I'm going to say this, but the first 6 to 9 months of 2026 is going to be, so imagine you're like building a brand new pathway to, to your, what do I
transformation,
want to say? Transformation, what have you. What is that? Like, intentional, step by step. And if I'm thinking about building something for you, Lori, how am I going to be the guide by your side? What is it that you need from me? And this is no longer about like, oh, well, let's, what's your ideal client persona? We can't just like write it down on, like, we really have to understand. So this is the gift and the curse of AI, right? How do we keep things human centered? As much as technology is going to move, people still want to deal with people.
Right.
And they want to know that you're talking to me. That discernment also will blow the covers off of, the fakeness that AI can bring.
Right.
I want to know you. I want to know Lori. I want to know, what's going to move the meter forward. So if the intentional buyer is here, they want credibility, clarity, and connection. 3 C's.
Okay.
Think of it that way.
Okay.
So what do you need to change in your marketing if you're not already doing it to match that shift? And most people, we've learning it, you're feeling it, right?
Sure.
So, but if you can stop and be really intentional and look at your offer. So before, everybody started talking about trust recession. So before this last marketing shift, when I was presenting on the shift in advance, I was like, it's going to move from know, like, trust to trust first marketing.
Okay.
People want to know. And so but you can see now why. We didn't know then how fast AI was going to grow.
Sure.
But you can see now why that was so important for people to start, and why AI is just accelerating that, right? So if trust is the new currency and we have a more intentional buyer, how do you approach that differently? We can't just spray out, those catchy slogans and things and expect that people are going to just click the buy now button.
Right.
We have to, there are always going to be early adopters. There are going to be people that have been following you, listening to you, or you just say that one thing in the right moment where they go, oh my God, Lori's my person.
Sure.
There's always going to be that. And what we're seeing in the data, so a friend of mine who's a data analyst we got together and looked at, because we knew that the marketing shift was occurring in the last one in January of 25. So we looked at Q1 data from launches.
Mm-hmm.
And what we found was that either people were buying in the very early days, like first 30 days of being in your world,
Okay.
or it was a much longer buying cycle. Much longer. Like people are, 6 months, 9 months, or even longer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why is that? Because we're not used to trust first. We weren't marketing to a more discerning buyer. We weren't thinking about
marketing
it that
to
way.
like more of an impulsive buyer.
Right. Because that's what we came out of. So this is why knowing what's coming is so valuable, and you can see what happened, right? So this is why, but where did I get that? I got that from the astrology data, knowing what we were looking back at and what part of the cycle we were in.
Right. Yeah. So this reminds me a little bit, and I want to try to use, I guess, I'll use a concrete example, like from my own offers, right? I would say in beginning of September-ish, I built an AI powered like team of offer assistants that basically walks through my entire offer framework, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very intentional, very human centered, very intuitive, very much aligned with you build offers that work for you, not a cookie cutter approach, but it was built on that premise, right? I spent like 3 months like building this, and I really thought, oh, wow, this is going to be amazing. Like not everyone can like invest in high ticket, but I want to help people build offers like the right way, right? So let me just build it with my frameworks. It's going to be DIY. It's going to be a lower ticket entry. It's experiential. This is going to be amazing. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And what I learned, I think, going into this, 2 things. One is people that I knew that this was actually a really good offer for didn't have enough understanding or visual of like what this offer would do for them. So they backed off. So there was a trust issue, like, I'm not quite sure. Or there's other people that were like, I know this could be good for me, but this is what I can afford, but I really want you. So what I'm looking at is like, okay, now how can I, still keep it lower investment, but put me, even though it's my frameworks, it's like, how can I put me, the human, into it? Do I do a review of their documents at midpoint and at the end, so that they know like they've got a guide, right? So I've been seeing this shift, and I've been paying attention to it, and thinking about like, how do I want to change my own offers? Like my Offer Mojo Studio is by far like what people want. Like I want you, like, in the room. I want you to help me craft all my offers, right? And I want you to do it for me, because like I only have time. Pull out all the information and then go do it for me. So, and you hear a lot about that too, of like implementation type offers are going to be like popular in this next. I don't know if you've heard the same thing, but.
Well, it's that idea of a guide by my side, right? Making sure, like, if you're going to go and build out your YouTube channel, somebody working alongside of you. And it's kind of what you said. So you can give me the best bots and agents possible, but if you're no longer by my side, and even though I know you built it, I don't trust AI yet. It's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust AI yet. I don't know that the output, and if I've had any experience with it at all, I know that it's flimsy potentially in how it's going to be. So we need both, and people want both. They want to move the meter, and they need, so discernment from both the, you building your offers out as well as the buyer. Like, how do you manage your own energy? What is the right, season timing? We're each also on our own cycles and seasons.
Sure.
And that's where else I see people pushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is an energetic season for each of us in our business. And when we follow that and when we move through that, we can build with more intention.
Right.
As I've been building out this Success Planet operating system, I've been going slow and really thinking long term, and what do I give people, and so that they're not just getting information and it's not infotainment. That's where I want to change the lens of astrology. And I appreciate you asking me up front, because a lot of astrology is infotainment, right? I just, what's happening with, the sun and Aries
what's my
today?
forecast for today? And
right. And, but that's just infotainment. Like I want to, or edutainment. I can edutain people. And I was doing a lot of that before,
Sure.
and people would be curious, but they weren't buying anything from me.
Right.
So I want practical solutions that help people to, leverage the data that astrology has. So now you and I talk about this, right? Like, so now somebody is going to ask me, okay, well, how do I fit into that picture? Or
Right.
what are those, do you have a forecast I can read every month? Yes, I've got success scopes coming out this month where you'll get in advance forecast of what's happening in February. Most of us aren't meant to sit down and map out the whole year.
Sure. No, I don't. I definitely do not.
And in the environment we're in, with things moving quickly on one hand. So I feel like it's like this, right? You got the Autobahn of like technology, but we don't know what that's all going to look like. And then you have humans going, wait, slow down.
Right.
Like,
right.
They're like, I just want to walk on the trail. Like, can we just slow things down? Can we just enjoy the view for a minute? So, that is kind of the big picture disconnect, right? There's a lot of things moving quickly, and we do have major, transits meaning when planets meet up or come to a certain point in the sky that are generational changes.
Right.
But I could tell you all about that right now, but it's not we don't know what's going to look like yet.
Yeah.
Those are not as, you want to know, I need to be able to give you, and those things matter. I'm tracking those things and watching them. And I know but like I said, I know that buyers are going to be a little more tight-fisted. So up until, throughout the first probably 8 to 9 months of the year, and we have this marketing shift. So what can you do? Lean into the audience that trusts you and build more trust. Show up, demonstrate your authority, and not people don't need to be overly talked at. They, like you were saying, your folks, we know what we don't know. And I'm just looking for someone to fill the gap. And are you my person?
Right.
And there's not a ton that we can do about that except show up as who we are.
Yes.
Like one of the things I tried to, I think, for a time, tamp down a little bit of my voice because I was worried, like, how do people think about astrology? Now I'm like, Sassy Sheri is here, and she's like, you all are like, that's what I said. I call BS on the trust recession. I call, because it's rude. It's like you're telling your people.
I like that.
You're telling your people they're not discerning. Like they don't know. They don't have trust.
Right.
They have trust.
That they don't know what they're doing. That they don't know. Right. Yes.
Right. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to make a decision, and you have to be the one to guide them. So I think we have to get really clear on, our own voice and what resonates. What offers do you want to build? Or what do you love? That was why I was like, I had to choose my lane. Like I could do a million things in astrology.
Right.
But what I see and what I want to avoid, I want people in the world doing their work. I don't want people burnt out. I don't want people leaving entrepreneurship because they can't make money. So if I can help you understand market behavior and I can help you understand timing and cycles for yourself and your audience, I'm going to have a ripple effect. That's what I want to do.
So we are getting I can't believe we've been talking for 40 minutes. I want to get to what I know other people are maybe they've remembered that we were going to talk about this. Maybe they haven't, but I haven't forgotten. I want to know what's happening after 8 to 9 months. So around August 2026, you said that we are going to hit a new marketing cycle. What is that new marketing cycle? What's it going to look like?
Right. So when we get to that shift, part of that I alluded to before is that more guide by my side energy. The guru culture collapses. People are wanting more, inclusivity, and they don't want somebody who's above them. They want somebody who's beside them, right? So what does that look like for which means community matters, which means experiences matter, which means who's in the room matters. So not that I don't know I can have some ideas of what group could look like, but I think it will be a leverage of technology and human interaction. We need to be doing both. Period. End of conversation. Like, you've got to, consider the, how people want to be approached. Smarter buyers looking at capacity. They want that guy by their side. So they want presence, proximity, transparency, please and thank you, and real support. So right now they're learning to fine tune their discernment, right? So they're still kind of they can have a little bit of pie in the sky, sometimes of okay, well, like you did, right? Oh, I'll do this thing because I think it's going to give me that. So all that is helping them to get to a place of really being discerning. Sure. Okay, now I'm discerning, right? Now I know I can trust myself. So what is it that we want what do I want to build, and who do I want to build it with? And it needs to have all those parts and pieces in it. I heard my client posted something yesterday, and she said, no shade to my mentors and people I've worked with, but if you don't understand my offer, you've never experienced even 10 minutes of my coaching, how can you coach me? So it's that kind of how well do you understand me? How much time have you taken with me up front? Then you can give me the box. Then you can, but it's gotta be a blended, as AI is not going away, but how do you humanize, and does your offer need it? I look at it and I go, well, I could give you a tool to help you, plan your marketing, but there's so much more context that goes involved, right? Sure. And so does that make sense? What tools would I use or build that makes sense? So everyone, if buyers are more discerning, you've got to be more discerning. And how do you do both and? How do you give people connection, community? I think we'll see new platforms. I know we're going to see new platforms over the next few years. Okay, what kind of platforms? Well, you can already see social platforms. So what's working, what's not. We can see a huge move away from Facebook groups. That's been happening, right? Because they're not serving both and. They're more the guru in the room, right? There's no connection. Sure. So why does something like Slack or School is rising, right? But why? So study the things that are working, and how do you model that? Doesn't mean you have to use Slack or School, but people want to be connected. They don't want to just be, and they want to feel seen. So how are you, it's like self-source leadership, yet. And so now I know how to decide. I hopefully know how to grow. I'm choosing timing over pressure. But so we want leaders that are relational, not performative. I think that's the big shift. Okay. Very cool. So I think we've kind of mapped out, and I like you said, I think we've all sensed this is going on, and we've, different people have described it in different ways.
but we're seeing it. And what you're saying is that this really supports the astrological like shifts that we knew were coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So help me understand, I guess, or help the audience understand, like, if they wanted to work with you, what does that look like? Or do you have like any kind of like free tool that can help them, speaking of trust, like just dip their toe into your world and just begin to trust you?
Absolutely. So I think what's really important, because we're navigating this kind of dual personality year, is timing and knowing how to, and timing is two things. It's not just the date on the calendar, because most of us like launch a program and like, I don't, throw darts at the calendar. I help my clients choose intentionally, but also audience receptivity. So I have a gift for your folks. I call it like the launch timing decoder, but really it's about, you don't have to just use it for a launch, but really understanding where your audience focus and attention is going to be and how to frame your offer during that time, how to speak about it in your marketing, because otherwise sometimes it can feel like to our audience, we're selling Christmas in July, right? You know how it feels sometimes like somebody's tone deaf, like, why are they talking about this that way? Like, I don't want that.
Right.
So astrology can tell us where someone's attention and how they want to be spoken to. So that launch timing decoder is a free gift that you can, grab. The link will be, I'm sure, in the show notes, and that'll give you kind of a big picture overview. I hang out both on LinkedIn and YouTube. I've got a blog that I keep updated, and I will be launching right around when this episode airs, the Success Planet operating system, which will help you personally with your own cycles. And when to rest, recalibrate, move with intention, as well as that monthly forecast called Success Scopes, which will also launch in 2026, so that you'll have both collective guidance of what's going on month by month in advance, a few weeks in advance of the cycle, as well as if you know your success planet, you'll also know what's going on for you personally.
I love it. Wow. Very comprehensive. This has been an amazing episode. I just want to say thank you, Sheri, for just delivering your expertise. And I appreciate having you on as a guest.
Yeah, I appreciate being here. Thank you so much for allowing me to show up and share and connect.
Sounds good.